Under Plum Lake by Lionel Davidson. 15. The Power Slopes. You wear ski clothes up there. You wear snow goggles. It's the top of Mount Julius, and the light is blinding. We went up on the fast cable, and he gave me a ski practice. They have a practice slope for beginners. I'd never done any skiing. He put my skis on and attached the sticks, and I fell over right away. It's power skiing. The controls are in the sticks. There's a switch on each handle with 3 positions. With the switch up, the power is off, which means you ski normally on the ground. In the middle position, the power is on the skis, and they lift off the ground. They lift about 4 inches off. In the bottom position, the power is in your suit as well as your skis, which means you can't touch ground either. It's very tricky. You can't hit ground, but you can overbalance and go tumbling in the air with your skis flying. He gave me a practice with everything switched on so I could get my balance. I toppled a few times, but I got it. Then we did a few with just the skis switched on. It's dangerous because you can go downhill faster than on snow. So if you fall, you're dragged fast. I didn't manage that well. With everything switched off, I couldn't manage at all. I just went sliding and falling. He got impatient and said we'd skip it because he had to do a run. He said, "We'll do one together later. I'll help you. You can watch for now." We went to the starting point, and when I saw the run, I nearly fainted. A girl was just doing it. I saw her flying through the air. The run is 7 miles long. It starts at Mount Julius, goes steeply downhill for a mile, then you fly over a dip, hit the opposite wall, ski about half a mile, do a sharp turn, and race down the long last slope. There are red flags all the way to show the route. The idea is to race against time. It's faster with skis off the ground because there's no friction with the snow. You can do 100 miles an hour that way, but when you've got up speed, the idea is to get on the ground. It's more dangerous. You get points for it. You fly as fast as possible in the air, and you stay as long as you dare on the ground. All the way down, instruments show when the skis are touching the ground. By the time you reach the end, they have the result. Just before, he took off and gave me a wink and said, "See you soon." And when he was halfway down the slope, someone told me he was the champion. They didn't have to tell me. He went like a jet. He took off normally and then seemed to vanish. He didn't so much fly the dip as jump it. He hit the other side at colossal speed, and after that I couldn't see him. All I saw was a spray of snow. He did a sharp wiggle at the bend, and then there was something like a vapor trail on the last long slope, and it stopped. I heard them yelling and jumping all around me. He returned on the fast cable, and they all started thumping his back. He was grinning himself. "Not bad," he said, "but not my best." "Want to have a try now?" he said to me. "I don't know," I said. "We'll do it slowly," he said. I didn't want to do it anyway. I couldn't stop trembling. We had to wait some time, and then he had an argument with the starter. The starter said I didn't have enough experience. I thought he was dead right, and I told him I didn't have any. But Dido said he'd hold me, and that I was keen to do it. So the starter said okay, and we did it. "If you wobble, hang on," Dido said. "Okay," I said. "You'll manage easily. Switch everything on." He saw that I did, and remember what I told you. A nice slow start. Bend forward a bit. Everybody's watching. Are you all right? "I don't know. I don't think so," I said. "Yes, you are. You're fine. Bend forward." He caught me just as I was wobbling back. Somehow we got off. He was on the ground, and I was up off it. I started leaning toward him, which seemed a good idea, except it unbalanced him, and he had to work hard with his sticks. Also, we were going too fast. "Get on the ground," he said. "Put your switches up." I was so terrified I couldn't even feel the switches. "Up," he said. "Up, like this." He managed to work the switch nearest him. This brought one ski down and left the other in the air. It also left me hanging around his neck. "Switch the other one up," he said. "Get it up." I found the other switch and got it up, and both skis were on the ground, and I went wobbling there and back, hanging on him. And we were still going downhill quite fast. I could see he was mainly afraid of making a fool of himself, so I tried hard and listened to everything he yelled, and somehow we got down the slope. I was hanging on to him all the time. Before we got to the dip, He put me in the air, and we went gently over it. Just then, I started enjoying it. It was frightening, but it was fun. I got the idea, too. You had to crouch forward with your legs bent. At the other end of the dip, he got on the ground himself, but he kept me in the air. He put his arm round me as we rounded the corner flag, and we went into the long last lap. He kept me in the air all the way down it, slowing us by turning his skis in. Somehow we managed it, but right at the end, where there were people waiting, he took his arm away, and I ended up in a heap with my skis in the air. I couldn't touch ground, and went bobbing about upside down with my skis crossed, and everyone almost collapsed with laughter. He didn't mind. He was quite proud of me. I hadn't tripped him. I hadn't made a fool of him. He said he'd like to see anyone else try after just half an hour's practice. He said they'd been doing it for 40 years. I was beginning to feel pretty good myself then, when he said we could try the real slopes now. I thought these were the real slopes. No, he said, the real slopes were on the other side of the mountain. They had the mountain switched on there. They had to stop you falling off it. It was when we got there, and I saw how easy it was to fall off anyway, that I had the feeling I couldn't bear it. I was beginning to understand him. He was best at everything. It was why he'd gone round and made the speeches. It wasn't because his father was president. He had to be best, and he liked danger. Everything he did was dangerous. I'll say what he did. And that's the end of the 15th part.